Welcome to the Impact Show. Tonight, we have an amazing show ready for you guys. Just to get us kick-started, if you can, let me know in the comments if you can hear me, and also let me know where you're tuning in from in the country. And if you want to go that deep, let me know what you're looking forward to the most in tonight's show. Now, I'm looking forward to the show for a number of reasons. One of the reasons is because it's Friday night. Okay, it's a late night show tonight. And I thought to myself, there's lots of people who want to get the value of the Impact Show. And we've run a couple of these shows. And from running these shows, answering people's questions, we get more and more people saying, you know what, can you help me do this? Can you help me do that? Etc. etc. I don't understand this. I don't understand that. As a direct byproduct from the Impact Show, what we then started running from the live show was a few webinars. Anyone interested in those webinars, feel free to go in the description of this video and you can get a link to our webinars. Now, it's interesting because when we started running the webinars, one of the things I started finding is that people would still ask questions. In some cases, Samuel, can you coach me? In other cases, Samuel, I've got this particular predicament in terms of my property journey. How could you help me to get over that hurdle? So what I realized from doing 1 or 2 or 3 or 4 shows is that this needs to be something that people have more often. And this is the reason why tonight I said to the team, look, let's get set up and let's jump on tonight. Let's give people even more value by making ourselves available. So that's exactly what we're doing tonight. We're here at the live show in order to help you move forward in your property journey. And the way that we do that is very, very simply. We don't complicate things. We don't make things more drastic or more difficult than they need to be. We make them very, very simple. And the way that we make them very simple is by asking you one question. And that is, what's your property question? That is effectively, let us know what you are being challenged by in your property journey. And as you let us know what you're being challenged by in your property journey, we go out of our way to support you by answering those questions for you. So I'm going to open it up right now, very simply, and say to people, let me know what questions you have in terms of your property journey right now. Okay, so if you have any comments you want to put those comments through right now. And what I'm also going to do right now, right off the beginning of the show, is I'm going to open up the telephone lines for people to be able to start to call in right now. It's not going to be 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 20 minutes, 15 minutes into the live before I start making that opportunity available. I want people right now who want to take advantage of strategy in the storm, who want to take advantage of being able to connect with me, ask me specific questions in terms of their property journey. If you're dealing with struggles, okay, because this is why we started the strategy in the storm on the Impact Live show. This is the reason why we said, you know what, we're going to dedicate a minimum of an hour whilst we jump on this live in order to help people, because of a very simple thing. The simple fact is the fact that I had so many people reaching out to me at the beginning of the COVID-19 lockdown isolation period about their property journey, saying, look, Samuel, I need help in this way. Samuel, I need help in that way. And because of that, I said to myself, you know what, I want to help people move forward, but how can I help people? Because I can't expend all of my time with everybody. Obviously, I've got coaching clients who effectively become the first priority. Secondarily, obviously, I've got my own property business that is obviously a very big focus for me. I've got my own tenants I need to manage, etc., etc. And that even brings an interesting conundrum, which I might share in a short while as a bit of a story, just kind of giving you guys an update in terms of some of the things that are going on with my own portfolio as well. But yes, just to kind of bring things back, I want you guys to understand that creating this opportunity, jumping on the live, telling people, you know what, I'm here to help them and I'm happy to help you, is not something that I just did simply. It's something that took me a bit of time, because when you put yourself out there to help people, you also put yourself out there to be scrutinized. And, I'm willing to be scrutinized. I have been scrutinized for a number of years as the host of the Canary Wharf Property Investors Network meeting, facilitating over 100 people on a monthly basis to learn more about property, to understand more about property, also to level up in property. And, the way that we've done that is by basically bringing people together, and a number of people together, in terms of the speakers, in terms of the attendees to those actual networking events, and allowing those people to get massive value from those events. Now, one of the things is, obviously, through means of the lockdown, I don't have that interaction anymore. I don't have the 100+ people attending my monthly event. I am doing online pin meetings and I am getting over 100 people on those pin meetings, but it's not the same. It's not the same as the effect at the end of the meeting when I have 20, 30, 40 people coming up to me and saying, Samuel, help me on my property journey. You know, Samuel, I'm going through this. Samuel, this is my challenge. So because of that, this is why we are basically opening up the Strategy in the Storm, the Impact Live, to allow people to call in with questions. So if you have any questions, feel free to call in. The people that call in obviously are going to get priority, and then straight after that, at certain intervals, we will go to our questions in the comments. So if you got any specific questions, feel free to throw them in the comments. If you got the opportunity and you really want to delve into some strategy on a particular situation or scenario that you're going through in your property journey, then feel free to phone in, and you can use the access code that's right here on the ticker symbol, and also the call-in number that's also above on the ticker symbol. Now, I want to say something to get us started, and that is very simply, let's get the housekeeping out of the way. If you haven't hit subscribe and you're not a subscriber of the Impact Properties channel, hit subscribe. If you haven't hit like and you've already got value from one of our previous videos, we drop videos every single Monday and we do the Impact Live show every single Friday. So if you have got value from any of our videos, whether it's a live stream we've done before or whether it's even one of the videos that we've dropped before, then hit the like button. Let YouTube, the YouTube world, know that this is good content. Okay, because if this is good content, if this is a good channel, if this is a channel giving value, then every single person in the YouTube world should know that, so every single person in the YouTube world can get the kind of value that you've been getting through means of this resource as well. All right, so before I jump onto the phone, what I'm going to do is I'm going to have a quick look inside of the comments. I'm going to see who's on YouTube and who's basically asking any questions before we go, and then from there the phone lines are already open. So if you jump on the phone line, you're going to hear the hold music for a little while, but the phone lines are open and we are ready to take your calls. So feel free to put your calls in on the telephone, and whilst you do that, I am also going to jump into the comments real quickly. All right, so we've got quite a few people viewing. Welcome every single person. Welcome to the channel. Welcome to the live show. If you haven't been on the live show before, I'm Samuel I Can Win. Also, I'm Samuel Ikimwin, also known as Samuel I Can Win. And basically, I am a property entrepreneur. I do a number of things in property. I coach a number of people in property, both very experienced people and some very, very beginner level property investors. I also host a networking event, which I get usually over 100 people attending on a month-to-month basis. And that's a little bit about me. But again, like I said, you know, I don't do these shows for me. I do these shows for you. And my objective is to help you move forward. So, jumping into the comments, we've got Lady Yanni. Nice to see you, Lady Yanni, and nice to see you on the stream. I know you was one of our callers in one of our first shows. And you've written a question: do you have a script to talk with landlords from Gumtree for rent to rent? Okay, do you have a script? And that is a great question. This is what I'm going to do, because obviously I do these shows at my desk, and the reason I do these shows at my desk is because I know that way I can add massive value to people. I got a lot of stuff around me, a lot of resources around me. So here we go. The answer to your question, actually, before we jump into the excessive value, Yanni, you probably should have called, because if you called, you probably would have got even more value. So just to start with this, no, we don't use a script when we speak to people from Gumtree or when we speak to people from any other platform when we are doing cold calling. Now, we do cold calling. Everybody who follows me or has followed me for a little while knows that, you know, a number of my deals that I've secured have been via cold calling. Now, although we do cold calling in our business, we don't have a script, okay? But what we do have is two things. We have an ethos and we also have a prompt sheet. And both of those two things are extremely important. And a lot of people do not actually understand the value that comes from those two things. So I'll show you. And look, this is how close this is to me, all right? And the reason this is how close this is to me is because when I'm making my calls, I make my calls at this desk. So because I make my calls at this desk, I need this close, all right? So if you want massive value from Yanni's first question, I just want every single person who's watching to write massive value, okay? Write in the comments, massive value. Write in the chat, massive value, if you want me to give you massive value on this one question before we even go into the other questions. So the first thing is, like I said, we have an ethos and we have a prompt sheet, okay? We have an ethos and we have a prompt sheet, and I'm going to show you this right now. So right at the top of this, you should be able to see the camera's not focusing. This is the joys of having autofocus disabled. Let's see if we can help this camera out a little bit. You're going to get to see this hopefully. Okay, boom. We're getting there. So it says impact properties, and you can see the first thing it says philosophy, and it says think, feel, speak. How can I help you? So the first thing I said to you is that we have an ethos. Okay, now the focus is all messed up for me, but it's all good. So the first thing that we have is an ethos, okay? And that's the most important thing. Forget a script. Before you even get to a script, the first thing you want is an ethos. You want to understand, or you want to be able to teach the people that are in your business, in your team, whether it's assistants, virtual assistants, you know, personal assistants, etc. You want to have a ethos, and you want to be able to teach and encapsulate that ethos very, very simply in a nutshell. So you want usually about 5-6 words, ideally a sentence where you can depict your business ethos as it pertains to working with other people, i.e. sellers, landlords, etc. So I just showed you the top of our prompt sheet, okay? And I've got this on a number of things, not just our prompt sheet, but if you guys, okay, you guys are writing massive value. You guys are writing massive value, so I'm going to get into that. All right, so this is our prompt sheet. I'm going to show you that a bit more in a moment. But this here is our performer, our pro forma. Okay, now you can't see this, but what you should be able to, actually, if I hold it here, you should be able to see it. That's enough. All right, cool. So you can see this enough for what I want you to see. So basically, right at the top is our business logo, and right under is the same line. It says philosophy, think, feel, speak. How can I help you? Okay, so the reason we do that is because if you have the prompt sheet or you don't have the prompt sheet, if you're like myself and you don't need the prompt sheet, or if you're like some of my admin team and you don't need the prompt sheet, and you do have the performer, like the performer we use all the time. I can reach this far and show you performers which have been filled out. Now obviously, due to data protection, I don't want to show them straight because I don't want you to see people's names and addresses, but this is one performer that's filled out recently from a seller I've been speaking to. This is another performer. You can see it's 2 pages. You can see there's writing all over that. So sellers I'm working with, there's writing on the back as well if we got additional notes. So sellers I'm working with, this one says Monday 13th of April. Okay, so this is recent stuff. All right, so sellers I'm currently working with, I will fill out a performer. My admin team, whoever's making calls, will fill out a performer. These are the performers. This is a blank one. Okay, the blank ones are right here. So this is a blank performer. Now the reason this is important is because when you see this blank performer, it starts with the same ethos that the prompt sheet starts with, and the prompt sheet and the performer start with the ethos: think, feel, speak. How can I help you? And that's because anyone I train in my team who are finding deals, securing deals for us, they need to understand that we think, feel, and speak. How can I help you? That's what we're about in our business. We're about helping other people. The strategy in the storm, this live, the reason we're doing this live is because we want to help you. So our ethos is always, how can I help you? That's where we start. We don't start with money. We don't start with questions. We don't start with any of that. We start with, how can I help you? Now, the next thing the performer has is the questions that we have to answer before we can go forward. And those questions is, who are we speaking to? Person's name. What's the best contact number for the person? When is it ideal to basically contact them again? So that's these 3 questions here. And then the first thing it says here is property, and it has a little prompt. It says, tell me about the property, please. And you can just see that's an empty box. So all you do here is you write down, and then at the bottom we got some notes, and this is a 2-page document as well. When I pulled it out quickly, obviously because I pulled it out quite quickly for Yanni's question, I didn't pull out the second sheet. So that's just the first sheet. All right, so that's the performer. Okay, so because that's the performer, it's not the most important thing in keeping with Yanni's question. And just to remind you guys who are just jumping on, Yanni's initial question is, Samuel, do you have a script for speaking to rent or potential rent landlords when you're engaging with them over Gumtree? And I'm going to change your question, Yanni. I'm going to change your question is, do you have a script when dealing with landlords on a cold calling basis? Okay, that's what I'm going to change your question to, because it's a more encapsulating question and it's a more fitting question. Now, like I said, we don't have a script, but what we do have is what we call a prompt sheet. So here on this prompt sheet, again, you're not going to be able to see it, but rather than me changing the focus, I just show you like this. What happens is at the top we got the same 3 questions we had before: the name of the person, the what's the best contact number for them, and also what's the best time to call them. So those things are at the top of the sheet because they're the most important. If you don't don't know who you're speaking to and you haven't got contact details for them, you can't get back in touch with them. So that's the first thing I want you guys to understand. Straight after that, and I know where Yanni's at in her business, because Yanni's someone I've engaged with, so that's why I'm going to answer from Yanni's perspective to give Yanni massive value, and hopefully everyone else will get massive value as well. So the first section in the performer that I showed you guys a moment ago was what? Just write in the comments what the first section was, okay? I want you guys to write in the comments what was the first section on the performer, okay? I see all these comments, massive value, massive value, massive value, massive value. Thank you ever so much, okay? And we're going to come back to that. So let me see those comments. What's the first section? So that's the question to you guys. Let's see if you're a good listening audience. What is the first section on the pro forma that I just showed you, okay? And as I see those comments coming, I'm going to break down this even more. And like I said, I'm going to give you, I've already given you massive value by showing you not one, not two, but 3 documents that we're actually using just to help you guys understand how we're actually taking advantage in this current climate. All right, so we've got a caller coming in as well. Could that caller please just hold on for a moment whilst we finish with Yanni's question? So just stay on hold. If the caller could just stay on hold for a moment or two, and then we'll move forward. All right, so because we've got a caller, let me just run through it. So the first section here, it says property. You should just see that word there, property. And then under property, there's a whole bunch of prompt questions. So these are prospective questions we could ask a seller or a landlord, okay? And then on the next sheet, we've got more questions, okay? And more questions, okay? So we don't use a script, okay? And the reason we don't use a script is because you can't think, feel, and speak. How can I help you if all of what you're doing is scripted? All right, so I hope that helps you, Yanni. And with that being said, we're going to jump onto the phone, and that was a great question as well, Yanni, so thank you for your question. All right, so let's jump into the phone. Hello, good evening. Hello, good evening. Hi, Yogesh, how you doing?
I'm great. How are you?
I'm really well, Yogesh. Thank you for asking. I do believe the viewers can hear you as well. So if you are watching, guys, and you can hear Yogesh, just write in the comments, I can hear you. I can hear you, Yogesh. All right. So Yogesh is our caller, our first caller for tonight. Yogesh, just before we get kickstarted, I just want to confirm some stuff with you. First and foremost, you're happy for the viewers on YouTube and potentially the whole world to hear what you're going to share. Is that correct?
Yeah, sure.
Excellent. And you're also happy for the whole world potentially through YouTube to also hear whatever I decide to share with you also, right?
Yeah, that's cool.
Excellent. All right, so Yogesh, let's go. What's your question?
Firstly, thanks so much for doing this.
You're welcome.
The question is, um, it's a general question, but finding good people to work with who you can trust and
Yep.
who won't let you down, that's been a struggle for me. So it's probably not a simple way of doing it, but any tips you've got about how to find or how to know people who are going to be trustworthy, really support you in your journey or help you with whatever you need, and basically won't, I don't know, mess you around later down the line. Any tips for that?
Excellent. So first and foremost, thank you for the question, Yogesh. That's an absolutely amazing question. And I'm going to say this to you, Yogesh. At this particular time that we're currently in this particular climate, that is an essential question. The reason why is because everybody right now who is going to be able to take advantage of this current climate is going to be someone who's going to have to leverage the resources of other people. So there's a bunch of videos on our channel talking about leverage just because of the exact thing you're talking about and how it fits in the current climate. So first and foremost, like I said, great question. Now, I don't think I can open this up because it's going to take me too long and I'm going to have to find out which one it is. This one's location. So I've got a few things at my desk. I've got maps and all of this stuff that's really, really helpful for me in terms of my property business. But one of the things I've got here is, no, it's not this one, and I've got quite a few things here, so it'll take a while. But basically, one of the things that I try to keep close to me is basically a paradigm map of the different kind of personality traits people have. Okay, now the reason I try to keep that close is because I'm going to share this with you guys, and I want everybody, I want Yogesh, I want everyone who's listening to this to understand where I'm coming from when I say this. Every human being is different. Okay, every human being is different. The problem is we live in a society where, due to mass media, similar to what's happening right now with the whole COVID and the lockdown, due to mass media, people take messages that might be a headline and turn headlines into theories and philosophies. So I just showed you guys our pro forma. I also showed you guys our prompt sheet. Now, on both of those, I wrote at the top our ethos, and our ethos is think, feel, speak, how can I help you? Now, the reason why that's important is because that's our ethos, that's how we have to operate. Okay, so I'm saying to you, Yogesh, in terms of tips to think about people that can work with you, first and foremost, you need to know who you are. You need to be very, very clear on what you have to offer, your resources, what you are looking for people to leverage from you. Okay, now what most people do is they have the gimme, I'm Jimmy syndrome. Okay, and apologies if your name's Jimmy and you're watching this, and if your name is Jimmy and you're watching this, hit like. If your name's not Jimmy and you're watching this, still hit like on the video and let YouTube know that this is the kind of content that it needs to have more often. But the point is, Yogesh, until you have a very deep understanding of who you are and the value you have to offer other people, which is where you should start and which is where most people do not start, it becomes very challenging for you to understand the kind of people you need to put around yourself. First and foremost, because A, there's a school of thought that you should put the kind of people around yourself who are going to complement you. That's one school of thought. All the people around you should be people just like you and they'll complement you. And then B, there's a secondary school of thought that all the people around you should be opposites. And I know we've all heard the mantra opposites attract. Okay, so I guess what I'm saying to you, Yogesh, is as you think about building a team or working with other people, my encouragement to you is, first and foremost, don't start with the other people. Okay, don't start with, it's like that whole old American adage, don't think what your country can do for you, but think what you can do for your country. The place you should start is, what do you have to offer other people who you intend to work with in the various capacities? So if you want to work with a property sourcing team, for example, the question is, what do you have to offer them? Okay, what makes you different to any other investor that would be working with them? Then the same as if you're working with a builder, like what makes you different to any other client that will contract that builder? The same as if you're working with a mortgage broker, what makes you different? Like, I can give you a clear example where I've leveraged this. Like, I've got a lot of brokers who are on my panel, and I show all of them that, look, I'm not only coming here to use your services, I'm also coming here to recommend your services to other people. So as a direct byproduct, if I'm not using you on a regular basis because I might not be buying in a particular season, I'm still going to be sending people your way. So I'm worth more to you than most of your actual clients. And this is the question, or this is the standing point where you need to start with, Yogesh. In my opinion, you need to start from a place where you ask yourself, okay, how can you make yourself of more value to the people you're trying to work with? And then start asking yourself, who am I trying to work with? Has that been helpful for you? Yogesh, you watching the YouTube or you on the call? Excellent. Go on.
I'm
Has that
doing
been
both. I'm doing both
excellent?
on the same device.
Yeah,
Yeah,
try
yeah,
try
that's
your
really cool.
try your best to stay in the call, because the YouTube sometimes a slight delay. But you said that's been helpful, yeah?
Yeah, definitely helpful. Yeah, look at yourself first, see what you can offer others, and then
Excellent.
people hopefully will gain your trust that way. Yeah, that's really
Excellent.
cool.
Excellent. And I'll say this, there's no hopefully about it. It's a principle, it's how it works. If you understand your value, you will definitely see people start to be attracted to you. So Yogesh, thank you for the call and look forward to catching up with you again soon after lockdown.
Okay, thank you.
Excellent. Take care. Bye bye. Okay, we've got another
Bye.
caller coming through now. I'm gonna take the second caller now, and this is 6394. Good evening, 6394. Let me get this. Good evening.
Hi, Samuel.
Hi, it's
Hi,
Remy.
Samuel.
I
It's
can tell it's
Remy.
Remy. I can tell it's Remy. I know that. Hi, Samuel. Hi, Remy. How you doing?
I'm good, thanks. How are you?
I'm really well. Thank you for asking. I don't get asked a lot, so it's all good. It's all good. I'm doing really well. So,
Oh,
so
okay.
I don't get asked a lot because I ask people a lot. And when you beat people to the chase,
Uh,
usually they don't ask you after because you're already in the flow of convo.
uh,
So it's all
okay,
good.
okay.
But how are
I was
you?
just trying to. I'm good, thank you. Yes, still adapting to life in lockdown,
Yep.
but
Yep.
trying to make the most of it.
Excellent. So let us know, let the viewers on YouTube know your question. And before you let them know your question, guys, I'm just gonna say it again, housekeeping. If you haven't hit subscribe, become a part of our community. If you haven't hit like and you got value from the answer to Yogesh's question, or you're planning on calling in yourself and getting more value, hit the like button, and why not hit the bell notification so you can stay up to date with everything we're doing. All right, so Remy, let's go. What's your question?
Hi, Samuel. So, one is my rent-to-rent. It's well, we've been back and forth with the agent to sort of get some. Well, we've decided with the market at the moment, we would like to sort of have that conversation with the landlord to see where they're at and see whether some sort of rent relief is available. And what we've realised from the agent is that the landlord has passed away, and this particular property is going into probate. So what I'd like to kind of find out is we're looking to have that conversation with the landlord. I'd just kind of like to know how would you approach it in terms of trying to maybe support them if they were trying to sell this particular property? Is there any kind of approach you would take?
All right, so that's a meaty question. Okay, you've got a lot of meat on that question. So what I want to do is I want to start breaking it down before we jump into it in that regard. Is that okay? Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
All right, so just to start with, you've currently got a rent-to-rent which you're already controlling, correct?
Yep.
All right, you were considering approaching the landlord in order to request from the landlord some kind of a reduction in rent throughout this current period, right?
Yeah.
From your consideration and then outreach towards the landlord / estate agent in the middle, you then learned that this particular property, the owner has passed away. Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay. And then from learning that the owner's passed away, you're now thinking, what creative approaches can you use, or what would I do from a creative perspective in order to move forward to hopefully take advantage of the potential opportunity that's there? Is that all correct?
Yeah, that's correct.
All right. Excellent.
Summarize.
Excellent. So as a summary to that question, the first thing I'd start is the key. Most people do not understand this, okay? And I'm going to break this down. And the good thing is, Remy's someone, you've done our online program. You're part of our online community, so you understand what I'll be talking about if I use the sourcing blueprint as an example. And for those of you who have no idea what the sourcing blueprint is, if you go into the description on this video, you can see the link, start sourcing, to go and get the sourcing blueprint and start understanding exactly what I'm sharing with Remy. Now, like I said, Remy's on our online program, so she understands it a bit more in depth, but the blueprint is the free ebook. You can go and get that for free. Now, the first thing I'll say to you, Remy, is if you remember in the sourcing blueprint, we've got the second M. What is the second M? I'm testing you now.
Market, manage.
Excellent. You said it. Manage.
All
right. Manage. Yeah. So what are we managing predominantly when we're looking at sourcing?
We're managing the relationship.
Excellent. All right, so let's use that now. All right. Now the reason I'm using that is this: according to the sourcing blueprint, you're past the marketing stage because you've already done the marketing. You've already got this property as a rent to rent. So you've basically gone through the whole sourcing blueprint in order to have this as a rent to rent. But now you're going through the whole sourcing blueprint again in order to see if there's something else you can do creatively. Does that make sense?
Correct.
Yeah. So now you're going through the second time, the marketing piece is done because you've already got the communication. So this is what I was going to say a moment ago, but now because I can use the sourcing blueprint as a framework, I can help you even more. So let me start with the statement I was going to make before. What most people do not understand in property is that the person with the most information is the person in the best position. Does that make sense? Yeah. If I know that the seller is selling because of X and the seller is interested in achieving Y and the seller really, really wants to go and do Z, then because I have that information, I become more powerful. Okay. I'll put it this way, I certainly become more powerful than any of the I just walked into an estate agents and saw this in the window and thought, yeah, maybe I can buy it, people, if that makes sense. Yeah, because I know the
Yeah.
backstory, I know the history, I understand what the seller actually really wants to achieve. And then again, if we go back to my prompt sheets and all of my stuff, you know, I can then employ in my business the ethos, how can I help you? And the reason I can employ that ethos is because I already know I'm dealing with somebody who's indicated some ways I can help them. They've told me how much they're trying to achieve, they've told me what their real reason is for selling, and they've also kind of given me an indication into what they want to do moving forward. Okay, so the point I'm trying to make to you is information is the key, especially on the second M of the sourcing blueprint. When we get to managing relationships, the best way to manage a relationship is with the information you have. So I'll give you an example. I used to tell my wife this thing. It's a principle. It's got nothing to do with property. But, you know, those of you who are trying to improve your relationships, this might help you. The thing I used to say to my wife is you need to love people how they want to be loved. Okay, you need to love people how they want to be loved. What that means is if you have a spouse or if you have a friend that you're trying to, you know, court or move forward in your relationship with, and they don't like being tickled, and you think tickling people's cool, the problem is every time you tickle them, you're gonna annoy them. Okay, even if you think it's cool, even if you do it to people you love, even if to you it makes sense that no, this is me being jovial, this shows that I like them, this is a good thing. If they think it's a bad thing, it's a bad thing to them. Okay, and it goes back to the old adage that people say in personal development: if you think you can or you think you can't, you're right. Okay, it's got nothing to do with whether you actually can. It's got nothing to do with whether you actually can't. It's just the fact that your psychology, your mentality has set you up for the success or the failure. So this is the same principle. You need to get as much information as possible so you can be as effective as possible. So for me, if I was in your predicament, which is what you asked about, I'd be starting this scenario by going to the agent and asking the agent a real key question. And again, when I'm dealing with the agent, I'm dealing with the agent being mindful of what the agent is trying to achieve. Because an agent probably wants to sell that property. They probably want to be the person in charge of selling the property just because they're an agent and they have the facility to do so. So you might want to start with a question which is all about them. So I might ask the estate agent, hi, Mr. Estate Agent, you know, obviously we're now aware that, you know, there's been a bereavement and obviously, you know, the probate process is going through and there's the indication that they're going to sell this property or they may sell this property. I just wanted to know, are you going to be the agent that they're going to use in order to sell it? Because obviously you were the agent for the landlord previously. So are you going to be the agent? Now that might be a yes, that might be a no, that might be a really, to be honest, I don't know. Okay, and if they give you a yes, no, or I don't know, that creates a whole new door for you to now start digging and getting more information. So when I say digging to get more information, what kind of questions might we ask? We might ask questions like, okay, do you know who's going to be actually the executor of the will? Do you know who's actually going to be dealing with the probate process, i.e. the legal firm that have been basically entrusted to execute that particular probate process? That's a question you can start asking. The next question, again, which is probably even more powerful, is do you know who potentially is going to be in the running for the inheritance? Like, do you know who's going to be, you know, the trustees, the different, again, depending on whether they have a trust or whether they don't, but do you know who are the potential beneficiaries of this particular probate property? Okay, now these are questions you can start asking the agent. Now, you know, everyone who knows me knows this. Like, I'm not the biggest fan of agents. I used to be an estate agent, so I'm not kind of like saying to you, like, have the whole conversation with the agent and make it about the agent. No, but what I am saying to you is, if the agent's your only contact now, leverage that contact, similar to what I was saying to Yogesh. That's a lead. Use that lead. Get as much information as you can through the revenue, through the avenue of that lead, and then transition to the next and the next and the next and the next. So if they give you the law firm, you might contact the law firm and say, look, I have a contract in place with somebody who's recently passed away, and I'm aware that you are going to be dealing with their probate process, and you have the beneficiaries in, you know, of who's going to basically be in line for this. I'd like to know if you could pass on to them, you know, this letter or this email or this copy of the contract that I actually had with the original landlord, because this shows that I had a relationship with them. And the reason, what you're going to do, you're leveraging your existing relationship, your existing contract, your existing connection with the deceased person in order to create a connection with the new beneficiaries. Does that make sense?
Yeah, definitely.
Okay, so that's where I'd start. But go on, keep going.
Yeah. So I'd love to be able to have this conversation with this agent and ask all of these questions. And I will actually try and, go back and do this. However, this agent isn't particularly open, honest, or helpful at all. So, we've had a
Good thing I threw
conversation
in my
already.
good thing I threw in my disclaimer about agents a moment ago, right?
Yeah, exactly. We
So
had
go on.
this conversation literally this morning. We had this conversation, and they're not saying anything. They're saying, it's all fine. There's nothing happening with the house. It's just going to be passed on to another member of the family.
Okay.
You don't need to know anything. There's no information at all.
Shall I tell you what that usually means in agent language? In agent language, that usually means I have no idea. Okay, in agent, yes, in agent language, if anyone's watching this and you're an estate agent, whether you're watching on the live right now, you can put a comment and tell me if I'm right or wrong, or if you're watching on the replay, again, just throw a comment in the chat, but just let me know, for estate agents, okay, traditionally, when they don't know, similar to solicitors, they will just tell you, oh no, it's going to do the normal thing. And a lot of the time it just means they have no clue what's going to happen. Like, they're actually concerned about whether they're going to keep making money on the property, let alone if anyone else is going to make money on the property. So sometimes that's just the case. What you can do, if you want to take it, a different direction, you can start doing your own due diligence about it. So when we do the sourcing blueprint again, we start with the marketing, we go on to the managing. If the relationship breaks down, you can start all the way back from the beginning of the 4M formula. You can go back to the marketing. So the key is, okay, I want to market to the potential beneficiaries or the potential owners of this house. How do I do that? And if I want to market to the HMO list, then you go find a HMO list. But now you have a specific target that you need to find. So now you follow the route in order to find them. So the first thing might be, okay, land reg check, go get all the information that you need about the existing landlord, the one that's passed away and that's bereaved. From that information, you can start doing some independent research to start trying to work out, okay, who's connected to this person, etc., etc., all of which you can do. Or I don't want to say you should do this, but I know people that have done this. You can pay someone to do it. You can pay a private investigator, and it's not that much money, and they can basically look into it to find the beneficiaries. But the issue is not about how much it costs, it's about whether it's of value to you. Because obviously the same amount of money you might pay a private investigator to go and find out who are the legal beneficiaries of a particular probate property is the same amount of money you could probably do a leafleting campaign in a whole different area or in the same area, all the neighbors.
Okay. So just to give you a bit of information on that point.
Go for it.
We actually have contact details of the
beneficiaries.
Of the wife of the landlord.
Yeah.
And so we've had this contact for. We didn't realise until today that we had this contact. So we're going to use it because we found that there's talks with an agent has it's not been very helpful. So we will contact them. However, we just want to be very sensitive because that the husband had passed away. We're not quite sure when.
Mm-hmm.
The landlord's not telling us. Sorry, the agent's not telling us. And so we do want to make contact, even if it's just to say we're very sorry for the loss, because we are kind of disappointed that the agent didn't tell us that this had happened.
Yep.
So yeah, we have that contact. We have a telephone number. We have an email address.
This is even better. Come on, Remy. I told you, information is key. You should have told me this at the beginning. This is even better. So this is what you do. You write. What do you have? Email, telephone?
Email and telephone.
All right. So when you listen to 101 property sourcing secrets and you told me just one of those secrets in my audio program got you a deal, do you remember what that secret was?
Yeah, touch them many times quickly.
Yeah, multiple touches. This is what you do right now.
Okay.
You get a text message written up, check it with your JV partner, make sure you're both happy with it. And the basic outline of the text message is, dear landlord's wife, we just basically want to say to you that we are, we send you our condolences for your most recent loss. You may never have heard of us, but we were the managing agents on you and your husband's property, and we just recently found out about your loss, and we wanted to basically connect and share with you that our thoughts are with you. Bang. That's it. Very succinct, 2-3 lines. That's the text. Then you write the email. Okay, you got the email, you said, right?
Yeah.
Then you write the email. The email comes straight after. Okay, you might send them at the same time, but just it's, you know, multiple touches. That's the secret you heard in my audio program that you said got you a deal before. So this is the same secret I'm going to use to help you get a deal again. Okay, so what you do now is you send the email. Now the email is more comprehensive than the text. Okay, the email outlines, dear landlord's wife, this is Remy from XYZ property, and the reason I'm writing this is because we recently were informed of the bereavement of your husband. We first and foremost want to share with you our sincere condolences, as this is a crazy time, unprecedented, etc., and as a direct result, we do not want, you know, anybody at this time to be going through a bereavement with all of the challenges that are in place. If you want to go real deep, which I would probably do if I was writing this email, I'd then also sprinkle in the fact that, because I know this is happening right now, currently any person who's having a funeral in this current climate, they're not allowed more than 10 people according to government guidelines apparently at the funeral. So that is something I'd write in as well. You know, I'm also aware that during this period, people that are having funerals are only allowed to have 10 people at the funeral. And with this kind of, you know, scenario, I can imagine that, you know, you're in a very, you know, difficult state or challenging state or, you know, sensitive state. The reason I decided to write this as an email is so that if you don't have the time to pick this up, you can pick it up with us another time. But I just wanted to outline that we have basically got no information from the agent that originally connected us with your husband, and as a direct byproduct, we wanted to reach out to you personally ourselves when we heard what had happened. If you are interested in speaking to us about the property, feel free to contact us here, all of your contact details, okay? Or if you want to follow again the sourcing blueprint and the stuff I've taught you before, one call to action, you know about that. Now the next thing is you sign off, you finish off that email by basically stating that you and the team will continue to successfully manage the property as you have done in the past until you hear from her or have some kind of different direction or different engagement or communication with her. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah, makes sense? Of value?
Mm-hmm.
Excellent.
Yeah.
All right. So that's what you do. Use the same principle that you learned from the 3-hour long or over 3-hour long program, 101 sourcing secrets that I created. The same thing. Use that one secret. Multiple touches. Send a text, send the email. Straight after you send the email, wait 2-3 days, send another text. You know, hi, just wanted to touch base with you because we sent an email. Again, you know, we know it's a sensitive time. If you need us, here are our contact details. Just wanted to let you know. Bang. So what you do is you use the text as the sensitive level and you use the email as the share information level. But the key is you're sending this so the whole ideology is, wow, like this person really wants to help me. This person's really helpful. I've never met this person. Who is this person? I need to call you. And then bang, you end up with communication. Yeah?
Yeah.
All right, cool.
Yeah.
Remy, always a pleasure. As my friend Ivona says, never a chore. All right, guys. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to jump out of the telephone. If you still got calls, feel free to call in. We're going to wrap up the show in a little while, but I've got a whole bunch of comments and chat. Guys, the chat is on fire. So let's go through the chat and see what people have been asking and what people have been saying. Now, what I'm going to do, guys, I'm saying this, it's a disclaimer. I'm just saying this to be honest with you because of the time that we've spent already. We're already nearly hitting an hour. I'll probably go over an hour anyway because I love giving value like that. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to go through the chat and I'll probably give quick answers. If anybody wants a more extended answer or a bit more strategy, like Remy knows how I operate. She calls in, call him. All right, so we'll take, if we get another caller, we'll probably take another caller before the end of the show, but let's go into the chat and just try and fire off a few of these really quickly. So I answered Yanni's question about, do you have a script for rent to rent? Which area would you like for what is good for rent to rent numbers? Okay, Yanni, come on. This, everybody's in different places. So just to throw this out, people are in different places. So I'm not gonna give a recommendation to go to this area or that area to do rent to rent, because I see Adrian's in the comments. Adrian might be based in Northwest London. Yanni, you might be with me over here in Canary Wharf. So because people are everywhere, it doesn't help to basically say, I'll go to this area, go to that area. And as a disclaimer, I don't want to be the guy recommending areas anyway. What I will say to you is, whoop, 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 whoop. I just got a HMO application successfully completed through means of the Redbridge Council. But any person who's watching this, who's been on my Facebook, my YouTube, my LinkedIn, knows that anyway, because I posted that yesterday. So yeah, we've got another HMO application successfully achieved in the midst of COVID. So whilst people are trying to work out whether they can make headway in this time, boy, I can show you because I'm doing it. All right, so Yanni, I'm not going to give recommendations on areas, but my deal in Redbridge is working. Let me just put it that way. All right, how do you reassure the lenders? Yanni came with the questions ready today. I like this. How do you reassure the landlords regarding your capacity to help them in the actual situation? Okay, cool. So what I'm doing right now is my specific coaching clients, we're working in a mastermind setting, because the same way I said to Yogesh, every single person is different. I want you guys to also understand that every single deal is different. Okay. So because every single deal is different, what you have to understand is, basically, you may have a deal where the best way to secure that deal may be slightly different to the best way someone else can secure a deal. All right. So because of that, I want to share that with you to have that understanding. All right. I don't want you to be thinking, the best way to secure this deal is the same way everyone else is going to secure their deal, because it don't work like that. Okay. So the best way to basically reassure the landlords regarding your capacity to help them in the current climate is going to be different depending on the deal, depending on the landlord, also depending on yourself and your business and what you have available to offer. Now, with that being said, we had Remy mention a moment ago that she needed some help, and obviously through means of theorizing and strategizing with Remy, I shared with you guys that you can go and grab the sourcing blueprint. So I'm gonna tell you to go get the sourcing blueprint, free ebook. Follow that link, www.impactproperties.co.uk/sourcing blueprint. Go get that. That's our free resource for you, just for being a good viewer and for showing up tonight. So guys, again, if you haven't hit like and you're getting free resources now, hit like. If you haven't hit subscribe and you're getting free resources now, hit subscribe, and make sure you press the bell notification. So Yanni, I'm feeling this. I'm really liking the fact that you're coming with all of these questions. Yanni, you should be on the coaching program. I'm just making it really simple. I'm going to be very, very transparent with all of these questions on a YouTube live in less than 60 minutes. I think you shot all of those questions off in less than 5 minutes. You should be on the coaching program. You should join our 6-month masterminding sessions that we're doing, because you'll get massive value. All right, let's keep going. All right, we have read that question. Rona's question: what's the best ways to close when looking for private investors? I like that question because I like working with investors. Now, the best ways to close, Rona, again, I just got to answer quickly. It's the phone calls where we're really going to take time to strategize. But in terms of answering that question for you, Rona, the best way to close when you're working with private investors is show them where they're making the money. Show them where they're getting their money. Show them. Be transparent. Okay. What so many people do is they hide where the money's being made, and they just show that they're credible enough to be able to make the money. Now, the problem with that is that your investor is never going to feel like, I need to buy it now. I need to get involved in that deal now. I need to do this now. Okay. The way you get your investor knowing, I need to work with this person now, is by you showing them very clearly where the money's being made. I'll give you an example. We took on a rent-to-rent deal. This was not even an acquisition. This was a rent-to-rent deal. We took on a rent-to-rent deal of a 6-bed HMO, fully licensed already. And one of the things we did, we knew that to get into the deal was going to pay basically $3,500. It was already licensed. It was already upkept. Well, the $3,500 was really buffer money, just to be honest with you, like 1 month's rent and a kind of little half a month for the month ahead. And what we basically did is we threw that out to investors. We said, look, we've got a rent-to-rent deal. We're looking to go forward on this. If you're interested in investing in this, we're going to need some money. So we had someone who said, look, I'll put in the money. I'll put in the $3,500 or whatever it cost. They threw in the money. Okay. And then they asked me a question as we were talking about it. So to close, like, I think just before they transfer the money, in order to close, and again, it's not a lot of money. It's $3,500, but I'm just giving you an ideology. in order to close, they asked me a key question, and they said, okay, how much are you making on this? They asked me, how much am I making on this? And I told them my ROI is infinite. I was honest. I said my my ROI is infinite. Okay. And they were like, oh, how are you gonna have an infinite ROI? And I broke it down. And I said, look, I only need £3,000. Okay, we got a caller coming through. That caller, please hold on. And I thought to myself, look, I said to them, I only need £3,000, £3,500 to make this deal take off the ground. This deal is already cash flowing from day one. I'm already going to be making money from day one. So even bringing in an investor is just me being nice to another investor. So I said to them, when you bring that £3,500, what that means is I'm putting not even £1 into this rent-to-rent setup, into this rent-to-rent acquisition, and into this rent-to-rent taking off the ground. So because of that, what I basically said to them, just to make it really, really simple, is every single pound I make every single month from this deal is an infinite ROI. Okay, and I shared with them that, and I was transparent. All right, guys, so I'm just going to be very, very transparent with you. Show your investors where the money is going to be made, Rona, and that's how the investors will say, yeah, I need to work with you. All right, I'm going to jump on the call because the time is running, and then from there I might be able to come back to the chat if I get time. Okay, I think the caller jumped off, so that's cool. All right, so I'll jump back into the questions because the caller has jumped off, which sometimes is helpful when you're going through like this. All right, so next question in the chat box. Okay, we got Adrian here. Adrian, good to see you in the live. Hi, Samuel. Been passed an off-market BRR deal. BRR, guys, stands for buy, refurbish, and refinance. If you do not know anything about BRR, go watch the video we released on Monday. That video is called Adding Value versus you know those ones when you're on the live, adding value versus restoring value. And that video goes quite in depth in terms of the realities of BRR, which a whole lot of gurus are not teaching out there. So go watch that video that we released on Monday, will be helpful for you. So Adrian says here, he's been offered this from an agent with strong returns. However, when investors find out it is it's a conversion flat above a commercial premises, they get turned off. Why so? Okay, so that's easy to answer for you. Okay, and the reason why, Adrian, is because traditionally, any apartments, any residential dwellings above commercial dwellings are generally considered as commercial units. Okay, now they're not necessarily commercial units, but the general notion is they're commercial units. So because they're deemed as commercial units, because they're perceived to be commercial units, one of the issues with them is that people generally just assume that they might need a commercial mortgage, or equally they understand, if they've been investing for a long time like myself, they would then understand that because of the commercial element at the bottom, there is a higher level of risk to the residential above, and as a direct byproduct, the residential above may have a bit more of a challenge in order to find a mortgage product. And that's just me being very transparent. Now they might, for example, if they're a cash buyer, that might not mean much to them, but I'm going to be very transparent to you again. Most of the people you're going to be talking to, Adrian, are probably not cash buyers. So even if they can act fast, even if they can, buy the property quickly, it doesn't necessarily mean they're sitting on the 6, 7, 8, 900,000 pounds cash to actually be real cash buyers. So because most of the people you're speaking to are not real cash buyers, what will generally tend to happen is they will be thinking, well, am I going to have the flexibility of the whole market in terms of residential mortgage products? And at the same time, we're in a climate where things are a little bit tricky right now. So I want to say to you, as you think about that specific deal, what you can do to help yourself, which a lot of property sourcing guys don't do, especially when they're starting out, which I always advise people to do. I don't know why people don't do this. Is, like I said to Rona, be upfront from the beginning. Okay, be upfront from the beginning. Lead with the line that you feel is stopping your deal. Okay, I hope that makes sense. Okay, and write that down. If you're one of those people who are taking notes on tonight's live, that's the statement you need to write down. You lead with the line that you believe is stopping you from having the deal. Lead with the line which you lead with the line from which you believe is stopping you from having the deal. Now, the reason I'm saying that is because if you lead with that line, then that's not gonna be the reason it's stopping you from having the deal anymore. If you're sending, like, I don't know what you're doing, Adrian. I don't know if you're doing blast emails, which I usually don't advise people to do. But if you are doing blast emails, again, you can connect with me. I know we got a little connection, so you can connect with me in that regard, and I can give you some advice. But just, the phrase, the terminology you need, the key you need is to lead with the line that you feel is making the deal fall over. Because if you lead with that line, what generally happens is anyone who's communicating with you or contacting you is someone who already knows this is an apartment above a commercial premises. So I hope that helps you, Adrian. I got this massive value. Okay, Yogesh, how do you find people who are trustworthy to work with? Yogesh called in, so we answered that question already. Massive value, thank you. Rona, Remy's got a question, she called in, so we got that. Okay, good stuff. Let me see what else is here. Guys, let me just say it to you again. Hit the like, hit subscribe, let YouTube know that this is the content which everyone in this world needs to start engaging with if they're interested in moving forward in their property journey. All right, hey Samuel, this is KTR, no name, so I'll just go by the KTR. Hey Samuel, they have the opportunity to take a rent to rent on. 4 out of 5 rooms are empty due to tenants having left due to COVID. The problem for them is that the remaining tenant is an NHS tenant, and they're concerned that potential tenants will not want to take a room because of this person and the potential risk. Any advice? Yeah, 100%. I think I saw a comment that came later. Boom, Yogesh. Yeah, I did. So Yogesh wrote a comment here which may help you, KTR. Okay, what Yogesh has said is maybe you could offer to other NHS tenants or other frontline workers. Okay, because that makes sense. If people are afraid to rent because someone in the house works for the NHS, then think about how do you leverage the fact that someone works for the NHS. So I know that we have who's the gentleman? Andrew. We got Andrew who's out there. Again, if you reach out to me, maybe I'll put his details in the comments. But Andrew from Holgate Homes, one of the things he's doing is he's targeting NHS workers. Okay, I got another one of my guys, Atanas. Atanas is targeting specific people, key workers, NHS workers. So there's nothing wrong, KTR, if you take on that deal with targeting NHS workers. What I would say to you, however, is think about the structure of that deal. So those of you who jumped on the webinar we ran last week or the webinar that we ran the week before, you guys will know that I've been talking to everybody, all of my coaching clients, especially those people on the webinar, about how you structure things right now in this climate to take advantage, because most people are going to keep doing rent to rent the way everyone's been doing rent to rent in this climate, and they're going to get busted. They're going to get busted up, guys. I'm just being really honest with you. Just think about Mike Tyson, think about standing in front of him, and just you know what it's going to end like. Okay, someone's hitting the floor real quick. Okay, and that's what's going to happen to a lot of rent to renters in this current climate if they don't know what they're doing, if they're working with the gurus who've been saying, yeah, this is what rent to rent is, this is how you do rent to rent. If you know how to employ creative strategies, okay, and 9 times out of 10 that's going to come from speaking to a coach who has a clear understanding of how to actually leverage in this current climate. If you know how to leverage creative strategies, now's the time where you get creative, you protect yourself, and you don't just do rent to rent like you've always been doing it. All right, so hopefully that helps you, KTR. Now we got Timmy saying really good. Glad you got value, Timmy. Thanks for your answers. You're welcome, Yanni. Anytime, you know me. I'm here for the community. All right. So cool. So Yogesh has got another question. And Adrian's wrote in here. Massive value again tonight, Samuel. Thank you so much. Anytime, Adrian. This is what we do. This is how we love the community, and we show the community that it's real out here. It's not just Anyway, I'll move on. All right. So Yogesh says here. He controls a property next to a corner plot. Together, they can get permission for another house. He has contacted the owner, who is a builder. They ran through mutual benefit of gaining permission. How can he push this further and structure it safely, legally, and agree a profit share? And who pays initial costs? Thanks. Okay, so Yogesh, this is a good question, but just think about it like this. This goes back, Yogesh, to what I was saying to you on the call. Like, what you have to think about, Yogesh, as you go into this deal is something very, very simple. Okay, you got to think about something very, very simple as you go back into this transaction. And the simple thing you got to think about is, what value do you add? What value do you bring? Now, I'll give you an example. One of the values you might bring might be the simple fact that you are going to pay for the upfront costs. One of the values you might bring might be the fact that you already have a complex ideology of what scheme is the best scheme for that house, i.e. how do you maximize profits. This is something I work with a lot of my coaching clients on. How do you maximize profits? Because I don't want to say, okay, let me not say any idiot. Let me say it this way. Any mechanic can get a planning permission. All right. Now there's a little pun in there. Some of you won't understand the pun, but I'll share it with you. I recently took a car to a mechanic, and when I was at the mechanics, one of the other mechanics in the garage, he knew I was doing property, and he said to me, "Oh yeah, you're the guy who does property and all that stuff." And he basically said to me, he just recently got a planning permission. Okay. Now I said to him, great, you just got a planning permission. You know, what did you get? What's your scheme? Da, da, da. Now the point I'm making, again, it's a bit of a little dig at the mechanic, but this is the key. Having a planning permission doesn't mean you're maximizing the opportunity. Now you can build a 3-bedroom house because that's the biggest thing I can build right there, but that don't mean you're maximizing profit, because the kind of house that sells really quick in the market in that place, and again, obviously speaking to people who property source will probably help you with that, but the kind of property that probably sells really quick, or the kind of property that rents and maximizes value, might be a 2-bedroom house. So whereas you might build a 2-bedroom house and liquidate that asset in 2 months, if it's a build and sell plan, versus you building a 3-bedroom house because it's the biggest thing I can get on there, and you don't sell it for 12 months, then you got to think about this. So the key is, again, it goes all the way back to what I was sharing with you on the call, Yogesh. You have to think about what value you bring to the table. You have to think about what value you bring to the table, because the value you bring to the table determines the value other people can get. So that's what I'd say in regards to your question, Yogesh. Okay, cool. So yes, I guess I've answered Yogesh's question. Yogesh has always also put here, he can call in if I need him to go through it, but I think you put enough information. All right, so Juliet, hi Juliet, great to see you on the live. She wrote here, how do I obtain information on joining your investor or JV list? All right, cool. Now, I have a policy in my business. It's a policy I learned from one of my coaches a number of years ago. And that policy is we do not JV with anybody who has not invested with us at least twice first. Okay. So if you haven't invested with us, if you're not a friend of ours, okay, because obviously there's the whole FCA regulation world, but obviously, Julia, I know you, I've known you for a while, but the point is, if you haven't invested with us, then we wouldn't open up the opportunity for you to joint venture with us. And that's just something we have in our business, so that we make sure that everybody gets to know each other around their money and financial tolerance before we start getting financially linked through means of a JV. So hopefully that helps you, Juliet. What I'd say, Juliet, is just email the team with that same question and let the team come back to you. All right, so Adrian's here, massive value again tonight. Samuel, thank you so much, you're welcome. KTR, it's Ketty. Hi Ketty, great to see you on the live, and you said thanks, you're welcome. I got great value here, and I got a few more questions. What I'm gonna do, amazing value Friday night in lockdown, well spent. I'm glad to hear that, Remy. Thank you for sharing. I'm going to take the last question and then we are going to be out. All right. And the last question here is Samuel. How often do you pray to our Lord and Savior? Interesting question, Coxie. I don't even know. Yogesh said, thank you so much for your advice. I don't even know how to read that question, because you haven't put any punctuation in there, but you are basically talking about praying to Boris Johnson. And look, I'm going to put it simple. I don't pray to Boris Johnson. I don't pray to Boris Johnson. So I don't know how I can answer that question, but I think that's a fantastic question for us to end on tonight's show with. So without further ado, Samuel I Can Win signing out. Impact Live show. Hope you got value. See you on the next one.